Toronto FC hopes to shock CONCACAF. RSL looks to avoid another upset at home, and the MLS Disciplinary Committee means business. Next on The Daily. Welcome to The Daily. It's Wednesday, April 4th. I am Andrew Wiebe. Next to me, Simon Borg. And Simon, the thing that everyone is talking about this Wednesday, Toronto FC heading down to Torreon, Mexico. They have a chance to make history. Already the first Canadian team in the semifinals of the CONCACAF Champions League. A result tonight would put them in the final. Big task against Santos down in Mexico, but they've already given away a little bit of what they're going to do.
Absolutely, Andrew. No one's given them a shot. Let's start with that. But Milos Kočić, the goalkeeper for Toronto FC, coming out and basically unveiling what their game plan is. And it's no secret. They're going to play really tight in the back. They want to keep the midfield line, the defensive line really compact, not to allow any spaces for Santos to make those runs that are dangerous. And they're just going to muck it up is what they're going to do, but they'll get those chances. And so that's what they're counting on. When they do get those chances to score, they're going to have to take advantage.
And obviously, Santos with a 6-1 victory against Seattle in that quarterfinal second leg, so a tough road for them to climb. Going to be even tougher. Both of Toronto FC's designated players, Danny Kovermans, Torsten Frings, both will mix this match. What do you make of it from a personnel side for them?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing on the Kovermans side, because I think Kovermans is not as dynamic a player as Luis Silva, perhaps, the rookie, who I expect they'll bring on. Yeah, you're going to need guys to chase balls and really work hard all game. I don't know if that's Kovermans' strength. In the back, that's where it gets tricky. Miguel Aceval coming off an injury. Is he ready to go? And Adrian Kahn, though, played 45 minutes in a reserve game, so he could be ready to go as well. That's a decision that Aaron Winter, that's the big one that he's going to have to make.
On another Toronto FC note, a bad bit of news yesterday for them. Stefan Frei, already with a broken fibula, expected out 8 to 10 weeks on that injury, had surgery yesterday on his left ankle for torn ligaments. He will be out 4 to 6 months. Obviously, Milos Kočić will be in goal for them tonight in Torreon. Once again, 8 p.m. Fox Soccer Channel. Toronto FC not the only MLS side in action tonight. Montreal Impact and Real Salt Lake will take the field 9 p.m. Eastern on MLS Live at Rio Tinto Stadium. Montreal Impact going to be hoping that they can pull a Chivas USA in this one, Simon.
Montreal, despite their being an expansion team, they've played teams tough, and they haven't had a kind schedule. They're coming from New York, now having to go to Rio Tinto Stadium, one of the toughest places to play. But they've had periods of games where they've looked really well. Their movement, their pressing, but they looked a little tired against New York. And that center back pairing is really a weak spot. Tyson Wall, Matteo Ferrari, they do well for most of the game, but there were those 1 or 2 moments then where they give it up. And I think against Salt Lake's going to be patient. They're going to knock the ball around. They're going to exercise patience. And I think they'll end up finding a goal or two.
A big theme with Real Salt Lake over the last few weeks, the health of Javier Morales and Alvaro Sabrillo. What kind of teams do you expect to see from not only RSL, but the Impact, knowing that ahead of the weekend, both have rivalry games with Montreal hosting TFC and then obviously RSL going to Colorado?
That's the interesting thing for me. I think we will see some turnover, even in Salt Lake. Now Salt Lake is a full squad. They're basically all available. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sebastian Velasquez, maybe a change in one of the fullbacks, giving Chris Wingert a break perhaps ahead of that Colorado game, which they'll play at home. So you do have that advantage of not having to travel for your Saturday game. So yeah, I do expect changes.
You know what? One last thing for you fantasy players out there. A little bit of a change up with this midweek game. You have to have your lineup in for the upcoming weekend's game by 8:45 p.m. Eastern tonight. So remember that as well. You can catch all the coverage from RSL Montreal on MLSsoccer.com. With some more news that will affect your fantasy team, a week after suspending Adam Moffat for a tackle and fining Alvaro Fernandez, the MLS Disciplinary Committee handed down more punishments yesterday for actions in last weekend's game. The first, Jair Benitez being suspended for 1 game for an elbow thrown at Danny Cruz. Cruz will be fined, though, for that play as well for simulation for grabbing his face. And then DC United's Brandon McDonald will also be out for 1 game for a tackle from behind on Blas Perez. Simon, they mean business this year.
Yeah, the disciplinary committee not letting anything slip by. And for the fantasy players, though, this is how it changes. Jair Benitez being out at left back means Hernan Pertus, his compatriot, moves in at left back. And the duo at center back, Ugo Ihemelu and George John, reunited. When it comes to Vancouver, with Atiba Harris out at forward, Eric Hasley, who comes back from an ankle injury, they say he's ready to go. He'll just slip up there together with Sebastian Letou. And the tricky one, though, though, is DC United. Brandon McDonald, such an important part of that back line. With Ethan White still injured, out long term, Dejan Jakovic better be ready from that groin strain. They say he's probable. He's listed as probable. They say he's ready to go this week. He's going to have to be ready to go. There's really not much depth there at DC United at center back.
Now, speaking of DC United, though, dominated the team of the week this week at MLSsoccer.com. 4 guys among that group. Who stood out from last week's action for you in that?
For me, it's Nick De Leon. A rookie making team of the week this early in the season is very notable. He had the goal on his debut, but he had an outstanding performance. He doesn't show any signs of being a rookie, both with his skill set, some of the things he does on the field. He has so much confidence when the ball is at his feet. Usually you see rookies that are very tentative. So he was the big surprise for me.
A couple other things to catch on the site today. The second edition of the March to the Mad podcast. Joining those West Coast guys are going to break down this weekend's game. Matt Doyle, the armchair analyst, and Jonah Friedman. You'll have to tune in for that one. And then finally, once again, make sure you check MLSsoccer.com for all the CONCACAF Champions League action. Our own Tom Marshall is down in Torreon, Mexico. Check back for more tomorrow on The Daily.